Assalamu alaikum. I am Ms. Tehseen Mistry, your English teacher, and today we are going to discuss a very interesting, very beautiful, very soothing poem from our 9th standard English textbook. So before we come to the main poem, let's see what do we see on screen here. So here we see a cute little puppy sitting right in front of a fan. Now this image clearly shows that the temperature is extremely high. It means it is extreme summer. On the contrary, we have another image to the right side where we can see the beautiful white snow-covered trees. So this indicates that the temperature here is extremely low, that is, it is extreme winter. Now why are we discussing summer and winter? Basically, today the poem that we are dealing with is called Autumn. Like summer, winter, autumn again is a very beautiful part of the year. It's a very beautiful season of the year. Let us quickly jump into the poem and see what the poem holds in store for us. Before we start the discussion, there are primarily two objectives that we will achieve by the end of this session. First, the students will be able to write meanings of new words that appear throughout the poem. And second, the students will be able to write the central idea of the poem. So, my dear students, let us now begin the discussion of the poem. This is the poem here which is written by Kalidas. The autumn comes, a maiden fair, in slenderness and grace, with nodding rice stems in her hair and lilies in her face. In flowers of grasses she is clad, and as she moves along, birds greet her with her cooing glad, like a bracelet's tinkling song. A diadem adorns the night of multitudinous stars. Her silken robe is white moonlight set free from cloudy bars. And on her face the radiant moon bewitching smiles are shown. She seems a slender maid who soon will be a woman grown. So this is a very short two-stanza poem which is written by Kalidas. Now let us come to the explanation of each of these stanzas. So here comes the first stanza. Let's go back and recite the first stanza once more. The autumn comes, a maiden fair, in slenderness and grace, with nodding rice stems in her hair and lilies in her face. In flowers of grasses she is clad, and as she moves along, birds greet her with her cooing glad, like a bracelet's tinkling song. So, my dear students, let us see the few new words that we have in the first stanza. The very first word we have here is maiden, which means a young girl. So I request all of you to please note down the meanings of these new words that appear throughout the poem. The first word maiden, which means a young girl. The next word in the second line of the same stanza is the word slenderness, which means thin. Slenderness means thin. Next is the word nodding. Nodding is an action. It means moving up and down. Nodding means to move up and down. Next is the word clad, which means covered. The word clad, which is the last word of line number 5, means covered. So now let us come to the explanation of the first stanza. This is the first stanza of the poem. That is what we have already recited. The poet says that it is the onset of autumn season. So in the first stanza, our poet Kalidas is making this very clear that it is the beginning of the autumn season. The poet has personified autumn in every line of the poem. So once we read each and every line of the poem, we understand that the poet has personified autumn. He has given some human attributes, some human actions to this autumn season. Now here the poet is comparing autumn to a fair, white-skinned, young, unmarried girl. So as we can see on screen here, there is this beautiful girl who is quite young. She is fair-skinned. So likewise, our poet Kalidas is comparing this autumn season to a fair-skinned, white-skinned, very young, unmarried girl. Now this girl is also extremely thin and she is very graceful. She is very pretty. The girl has worn natural ornaments that add to her beauty. So this girl here is wearing all different types of ornaments, accessories, and they are all natural. They are made of all the natural things that we see around us. And these ornaments, which are made of these natural available things, they add to her beauty. She has worn an outfit which is made of pretty flowers of grasses. Now this girl is wearing a very unusual, very beautiful outfit which is made of all real pretty flowers. As this girl moves, all the birds around welcome her in their sweet voice, which sounds like the tinkling of a bracelet. Now, as this pretty young girl is moving, is walking from one place to the other, all the birds that are around outside, they welcome the young girl in their sweet voice. Now this voice of the birds, it sounds like the tinkling sound which is made by a bracelet. So similarly, according to our poet Kalidas, autumn season is as pretty as this young girl. So just like this young girl is very very pretty to look at, autumn season is similarly likewise very pretty. The season looks simple but beautiful at the same time. So no matter this autumn season, it looks very very simple, very plain, but it holds its own beauty. Everything around looks pleasant. So if we look around during the autumn season, the trees, the flowers, the birds, everything, they look very very pretty and pleasant. They give us some sort of happiness, even though it is the fall season, but there is a mesmerizing quality about it. So no matter it is the autumn season, the leaves are falling down, the trees are shedding the leaves, it looks very plain and boring, but still it has a mesmerizing quality about it, a very captivating quality about it. There is some beauty even in this fall season. The season is not the end, but a beginning to everything new and fresh. So this season is not the end of something, but it is the beginning of new, everything that is new, everything that will be new, that would be fresh. So the season is the beginning of new life. So that is the first stanza wherein the poet Kalidas is comparing the physical attributes of a young girl with that of the autumn season. Now let's move to the last and the second stanza of the poem. So this is the second stanza here we have in front of us. A diadem adorns the night of multitudinous stars. Her silken robe is white moonlight set free from cloudy bars. And on her face the radiant moon bewitching smiles are shown. She seems a slender maid who soon will be a woman grown. Now here we have few new words. The first word is diadem, which means a crown. The word diadem refers to a crown. Next we have the word adorns. Adorns means which adds beauty, something that adds beauty. Next we have the word multitudinous, which means numerous or multiple. Multitudinous means numerous or multiple. Then we have the word robe, which means a gown. The word robe refers to a gown. Next we have the word radiant, which means shining. Radiant means shining. In the same line we have another word, bewitching, which means charming. Bewitching means charming. So here comes the explanation of the final stanza. This is the second stanza of the poem where the poet describes the season even more. In the previous stanza we saw how he is making a comparison between the autumn season and a young girl. He is personifying the autumn season. In the second stanza the poet is describing the season even more. The poet uses the device of personification and says that a crown adds to the beauty of this young lady. So first he is telling us that this young lady who is fair skinned, who is very thin, who is graceful, is wearing a crown, and this crown is adding to the beauty of the young girl. Her gown made of silk looks pure and white when the moonlight falls on it. Now it is the night time, so when this girl is out in the open, she is wearing a gown which is made of silk. And when the moonlight is falling on her gown, the gown looks even more pure. It looks very white. It looks extremely beautiful. Also, when this moonlight falls on her face, it clearly shows that she is a young girl who will soon turn into a full-grown, mature woman. Now, when this moonlight is falling on the girl's face, her facial features are they are enhanced. So, in the moonlight which is falling on her face, it is very clearly depicted that she is a very young girl, but very soon she is going to be a full grown, mature, beautiful young woman. Similarly, the autumn night looks even more prettier when the stars twinkle in the deep dark sky. So likewise, in the second half of the explanation, our poet Kalidas is telling us that the night time of the autumn season looks even more prettier because during the night these stars, tiny little stars, they come up in the deep dark sky and they shine to their fullest. Also, as the moon comes up and its pure white light falls on everything around, they give a glimpse of heaven on earth. So, with the stars, when the moon comes up and it shines to its fullest, so when this moonlight, which is very pure, extremely white in color, when this light falls on everything which is on the surface of the earth, each and every object that is outside, they start shining, and thus they give a glimpse, a feeling that it is basically heaven on earth. This beauty of the autumn is charming and clearly shows that the season is not the end but a beginning to everything that would be new, pure, and beautiful. So, this beauty of the autumn season during the night time also is very charming, is extremely out of the world kind of beauty, and it very clearly shows that the autumn season is not the end of something, but it is the beginning to everything that would be very new, that would be very fresh and pure and beautiful. So, this was our poem, which was written by Kalidas, a very short two stanza poem making a comparison between autumn and a young girl, personifying the autumn season and trying to explain that how the autumn season adds to the beauty of nature. So, my dear students, the central theme of the poem Autumn, which is written by Kalidas, is a personification where the poet has compared autumn season to a fair, young, beautiful girl. That is what we already discussed at the very beginning of the poem. The comparison in every line of the poem shows how God has added a touch of beauty in everything around us. So each and every line of this poem, when we recite, when we understand the meaning hidden inside, we realize that God has added a small little touch of Himself or beauty in everything that we see around us. He has done this so that we can enjoy the beauty of nature, remember Him, and keep thanking Him for all that He has given us. So, why has God added beauty to everything? He has added beauty for us so that we can enjoy that beauty. Also, so that whenever we look at this beauty, we always remember Him, we keep thanking Him, and we keep going back to Him. Also, the poem Autumn teaches us that in life there would be many instances when we would feel that this is the end of everything. So, the poem is also trying to teach us that in life, which is like a roller coaster, it is always up and down. So, in life, we many a times encounter very difficult obstacles, problems, sorrows, situations which we feel are out of our control. So here the poet is telling us that in life there could be many instances when we would feel that this is the end of everything. We cannot solve the issue or the problem. We cannot overcome the problem, and this is the end of the road for us. But if we think about it deeply, we would realize that it is not the end but a beginning to something better and fulfilling. But instead of losing hope, if we think about that problem in depth, if we start thinking of possible solutions and we think about its long term implications, we would realize that that problem is not the end, but it is the beginning of something which is better, which is fulfilling, and far more happier for us. Therefore, having faith in Almighty and being happy and grateful in every situation will help us overcome the darkest times of our lives. So, finally, the poet is trying to tell us that having faith in God and always being happy, whatever the situation is, even if it is an extremely bad situation, but still trying to be happy and always being grateful to God for whatever He has given to us. These are a few things that will help us to overcome even the most difficult situations of our life. So, the poem Autumn teaches us not only about the beauty that God has bestowed on each and everything around us, but it also teaches us about life and how fulfilling it can be if we have complete faith in the Almighty. So, this is my topic for today. I hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you very much. See you in the next session soon.